Hello, 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 and a very good morning to you all. I hope you guys are doing very well today and you're ready to start your day with me, Mohammed. It's a beautiful Monday out there, and I hope you guys had a wonderful weekend. But today, it is, like I just said, it is Monday, and we have a wonderful show lined up for you. And also, it's an important week because Ramadan is going to be starting, and lots of new things happening on PTV World as well. But before we get going with the topics of the show, we have to look at what's happening in the news, what's happening around the world and within Pakistan. Let's go check it out. The third edition of Lahore Literary Festival concluded in New York after a series of lively discussions on Pakistan's art and literature, as well as other key facets of its national life. A suspension bridge called Jindong Bridge, with the largest span across the Jinsha River that connects Yunnan and Sichuan provinces in southwest China, has been completed. The 914-meter-long bridge stretches above the Jinsha River at a height of 148 meters. And police, together with the staff of Wildlife Rescue Center, rushed to the site where a snow leopard was spotted in Beijing County, northwest China. Amazing. And Ireland were dismissed for 130 in their inaugural test innings and made to follow on by Pakistan on the third day of Dublin cricket test. Okay, so that was what's happening around the world and within Pakistan. But now moving on to the show. As you know, we have a very special month coming up. It is one of the most important months of the year, and especially for Muslims. It's a time when we are made to reflect, we're made to sacrifice, and we're made to give up certain aspects of our life so we have a clearer understanding of ourselves and also the kind of situation other people are in. It's about growing in empathy, as not just sympathy, empathy, and also our spirituality. And within, on PTV World, we will be having some new programs that will be launching for the month, which will be talking about the special month. And one of those programs is called The Path. It is being hosted, we have the host with us today. We'll be discussing what is the show about, what is going to be discussed, and you know, what is the need for a show, because shouldn't we already know what Ramadan is about? But you can never reflect too much, and we have a wonderful guest. She is a pediatrician by profession, but she's been teaching the youth and children for over 20 years using the Quran and Sunnah for character building. And we'll be hosting the show called The Path, which will be launching on PTV World. And we've been joined by Dr. Kaval Kaisar. Assalamu alaikum. Good morning.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
It's my privilege to be here.
Okay, so let's get started. I think we should start with the discussion of the show. So tell us a little bit about it. When is it launching, and what are you going to be discussing on The Path?
I think it was a moment of excitement for me, and I was really thrilled, and I felt really honored to be on the state television, and especially when you have international audience and people who are intellectual,
Yes.
who have this quest for learning, and at the very same time they want to understand the right benchmarks. So this show basically is sort of targeting all those areas. We want to create awareness about the right practices to the international audience as well as the national audience, the people who are into education, who can think, who question things, who are loaded with these questions, and they are seeking answers. So The Path is a program for them.
Wonderful, and very aptly named as well. Wonderful. Okay, so now, what time will it be on? Do we know what the scheduling is yet? Okay, we don't have the timings, but we will be sharing all of that information with you guys. But now, regarding the month that's coming up, like you said, it's about being on the right journey, it's about being on the right path. What is it that you're looking forward to highlighting during the month of Ramadan? Because it's not just about the month, right? It's about every day we should be taking those teachings from that month.
It's just like, you know, as the name, The Path. When we are talking about path, or being on a path, what do we do? Let's say if you are taking a travel route, you're on a motorway or a highway, and you're traveling somewhere, you look up for all the necessities that should be there with you, your baggage and whatever you would be needing in that traveling process. So the path is about being Muslims. What are the bare minimum necessities which should be with us while we are moving on in our life, and what sort of journey we should be taking up, what we should be anticipating, and very like the bare minimum that each one of us should be aware of. And yes, if we want to excel, what are the parameters? So this is basically what it talks about.
That's wonderful. And now, because you have been working with the youth for over 20 years, you're teaching them using the Quran and the Sunnah. This is going to be a show for the children as well. Is this a family show, correct?
Yeah, it's a family show. I have tried to talk about mainly to the adults, obviously, and trying to give them the concepts like understanding at the grassroots level, rather than just saying, okay, this is the concept and this is how you do it. I want to basically focus on these ideas that how people can actually apply those principles in their life in current times.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And apart from that, when we are targeting the adult audience, then obviously, once they understand the concepts, I have definitely tried to work on this area, that how they can implement the concepts in their families and also pass on the message to their children.
Okay, wonderful. And now I know that we have this show and we will be learning all these things,
inshallah.
but even as a pre-preparation for the month, these days children are faced with a lot. We have social media and, it's in our lives all the time. Like, it's very true. You wake up, first thing you do is you check your emails, you check all these different platforms. How important do you think it is to reach out to the children, not children, to the youth or the youngsters, especially during this time, and, create that balance in life?
As you said, that I have been interacting with youth for many years now, and I'm also engaged with in different activities with the parents as well as the teachers. And what I've observed is that everyone is sort of worried and they are scared of a lot of pressures that our youth is facing. Youth in itself is a very rebellious time, the time when they are thrill seekers and they want to land into any given situation without having, I don't care, it's about my life. And again, when you come down to youth, you would see that they many a time they are lost. They don't know how to work on their relationship with their parents. They don't know how to work on the accountability system for themselves. Even the religious seems like an alien entity to them, many of them. And very surprisingly, what I've seen is they have this quest, this thirst for learning. The moment you tell them, impart the right concepts, make it applicable for their life, they want to learn. They want to be engaged in those activities.
Okay.
I feel in these times, living in these times with all the challenges, it's high time that we learn about our religion and we try to see the practicality of it.
Absolutely. And like you said, youth is a rebellious time biologically, already, the hormones are all over the place. However, look, what you mentioned right now is very important. The fact that educating about the religion, rather than this inherited kind of notion that we have. Now, I feel like the youngsters and the youth get a very raw deal at times, because, there's a lot of people, like you said, people complain or they're lost and they don't know where they're going. But I feel like that is a knock-on effect from the previous generation, because their parents have not got that right knowledge that they should be imparting. It's being shifted onto the other to teach.
It was like part of the inheritance. You are Muslim, we are Muslim, so you're Muslim.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Just carry that.
And we
legacy.
don't do this because we don't do this. So now with this show as well, how are we going to be reaching out to those parents who maybe have that concept that, just read it. It doesn't matter if you don't understand it. When you're older, you can learn it. But actually, it's when they're young, when you can keep them seated and, in that zone. So,
as I see it, most of the parents are now questioned and cornered by their kids. Whenever they tell them to even pray, do namaz, and they say, why?
Yeah.
Okay, the parents would come up and say that, your du'as will be accepted, your supplication will be accepted. And the next question the kid would tell you is, okay, I made this du'a, I want this new gadget, this phone, or I want to excel in my studies, but I'm not getting any marks. So this is time when parents need to understand all the whys and what are the questions that are disturbing our youth, our children, our community. This program, inshallah, is going to give them all those answers.
Wonderful.
So once they learn those answers and they try to figure them out through this program, and also this should be like an opening window for them. It's not like the end of everything, but this program would give them this highlight that yes, this is the direction you should be taking.
Absolutely. And you know, I feel like, you know, because we're on that, we're talking about the month as well, and it's you know, it's about cleansing as well, right?
Yeah.
It's about kind of getting down to the basics. Now, I think there's a lot of like you said, there's lack of knowledge, even with, you know, within ourselves. There's just so much that we don't know, because we don't really analyze or go deep enough into the subject. But this whole concept of the forgiveness and, you know, all the rewards that you get for keeping fast. In different countries, there are different ways. You know, in UK, you have to do it. You know, you're still surrounded by those temptations, and it's difficult. Within Pakistan, you know, you have that. Everyone's going through the same thing. You have that kind of camaraderie.
It's in the air.
Yes, it's in the air. So, how are you going to be catering it for all the international viewers?
Okay, that's an interesting question, because I feel that living in Muslim countries, we have everything around us and it becomes easier for us.
Yeah,
it's a big challenge. Yeah.
It's a challenge
It's a
still, but
challenge.
it's easier comparatively.
Now, it's a bigger challenge when you're living in those places where it's not sort of celebrated at the national level. But I have seen that in all those places, the communities are very strong.
Yes.
And you have local masajid where you can go, or local places where you have eat out, even iftars, and you have a lot of those celebrations. And now we have online services as well. So what you can do is, wherever you're living, you need to, we still have like a couple of days before Ramadan begins, so you need to just explore those areas in your own local community and make a plan for yourself.
Right.
As much as you can do,
Right.
and as much as spirituality you can sort of get for yourself, because this is the time to recharge this faith, your iman, so that, you know, for the next 11 months, when you are again back to your normal life, then you are able to understand and apply those principles.
Wonderful. And just, you know, we are running short of time for this segment, but in the end of it, you know, what would you like to achieve by having this show? You know, what is the end goal of this?
You know, very interestingly, the name that was picked up for this show was coming from the first chapter of Quran, that is Surah Al-Fatiha, which we recite even in every salah.
Yes.
And in that we make this dua, Ihdina as-sirat al-mustaqim, oh Allah, show me the right path. Basically what happens is, for my experience and how I've interacted with people, I have seen people do want to talk about religion and learn it. But basically what happens is, when they are sitting in different gatherings or trying to seek knowledge, there is always like so much ambiguity. One person would be dragging or pushing you to join a certain group or certain school of thought. Then we get lost, we get scared, and we back off. Now, through this program, the path, because we are making this dua, that is a Quranic dua, Allah Ta'ala, show me the right path. The path doesn't have a specific name, but the path has all the milestones which were there in the life of our dearest Prophet, Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and his companions. So through this program, what I'm trying to achieve is, anyone and everyone who is a Muslim and wants to seek pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can benefit. And at the very same time, those people who are not Muslim, they also understand that we are trying to strike a healthy and strong balance, so that we also are able to integrate in this lifestyle with the challenges of today, and at the same time put up the right picture, the picture that should be there with all the people related to Muslims and Islam.
Wonderful. And you know, you answered my next question, which was, what about the non-Muslims? That's fantastic. But finally, actually, sorry, I do have one more question. It just popped into my head. The fact that, you know, PTV World is doing this show, and you know, during Ramadan within Pakistan, it is an occasion. You know, you have the special programmings on every channel. You know, Sehri, Iftar, all these things. But this kind of program, do you feel that there's a need for it? Like, as in, this is what we should be discussing, rather than having all these kind of different kind of entertainment shows?
I strongly feel there's need of it, because you know, media is a strong medium. People are not going to go into different programs locally. They are usually sitting at home, and they are taking a lot of impact from all the channels that are bombarding them with knowledge. And honestly speaking, there is lack of right and proper knowledge. And I definitely give a lot of, I would say, I mean, I'm like really happy that the PTB World, which is a
Credit to
state,
PTB, yeah.
credit to
Yeah.
the channel that
Yeah.
they have taken a stand for a serious program. And by serious program, I'm not saying something which is boring.
No.
I mean, like, you know, you can provide them the right answers, you can give them intellectual enlightenment, also spiritual enlightenment, giving them the right knowledge. People want knowledge. People
Okay.
don't want entertainment all the time.
Absolutely, and that's correct. But you know, sorry, I keep getting more questions in my head, and we do have a little bit of leeway, so it's okay. But now, and this is the beauty of the live shows as well. It's a general conversation. But you know, one thing that you mentioned, the fact that people want to have the knowledge, but then they get maybe bombarded or judged that you don't know this, or now there's also this fear element as well. That once you start speaking, you know, because we've seen certain negative things happen as a result. How can we, you know, with this show as well, are we trying to get to the point where it's okay to discuss the religion and have differing opinions, or do we need everyone to be on the same page? What are your thoughts as someone who's also teaching the youth? Because these days we don't know how to disagree and have different opinions. You know, we're shouting each other down, or you know, trying to hurt each other in some physical manner.
I would like to give you the same principle that I adopted.
Please.
Once I started learning Quran, and I was like a medical graduate, and again, you know, I wanted to learn Quran, but I was scared of going to any place and learn it. There's a hadith by the Prophet ﷺ, and he said that the gist of which is, I'm leaving with you two things. If you hold on to them, you are going to be safe, and you will be going ahead for the salvation, and that is Quran and Sunnah. So the basic principle, if I tell the audience this is what exactly they need to do, stick to Quran. You go to teacher, you definitely go to a teacher or an expert who could advise you, but you have to see the parameter has to be, is that person giving you very purely the Quran and trying to associate with
But
that?
how are we supposed to know that?
Once you start studying, you do get to know that.
Yeah,
like, you know, we take admission in different universities and institutions. Then you see that if somebody, anyone is telling you something from Quran, was it practiced or not practiced by the Prophet? And then you move on to the next chain. That is, how did Sahaba implement that principle in their life? And you will get answers to more than 80–85%.
Absolutely, and you know, and there's history, you know, that's what you do. You're supposed to learn from hindsight as well. But thank you so much for being here today, and we look forward to the show as well starting.
Inshallah.
Thanks so much. And everyone, that is Dr. Kaval Kesser. She will be hosting a new program for the month of Ramadan, and it's called The Path, and we will be sharing all the information for it when we get it. But now we're going to go for a short break, and when you come back, we're going to be sticking along this path of religion and spirituality, but also talking about how people are working on interfaith harmony. Do stay tuned.
NWFB in general, and Malakan Division in particular, abound in lush green forests. Nature has been bountiful in lending its beauty to the fascinating valley of Swat. One is thrilled and enchanted by the sights and sounds of nature. Because of these evergreen thick forests, awe-inspiring mountain ranges, and amazing waterfalls, the region is known as the Switzerland of the East. The forests of Malakand Division spread over more than 1 million acres. Most of the trees are of the pine genus. The most valuable, Cedros deodara, can be seen in abundance. Parts of the forests consist of Pinus valiciana. These varieties are locally known as Dyar, Kale, and Partal. Man, since the beginning of civilization, has been making rich use of the green treasure of these dreamlike valleys. The signs of human civilization and search for spiritual and aesthetic satisfaction can be seen on carved stones in these scenic valleys. The thick, pine-laden forests have been an eternal source of life and livelihood. The inhabitants of this region make use of the crystal clear water and invaluable pine wood in wonderfully novel ways. Lal Khan has been earning his bread and butter from the available natural resources for 40 years. He works hard with dignity and majesty. With his dedication and innovative skills, he stands high as a symbol of hard work among his fellow folk. Availability in abundance of the durable pine wood has provided a reliable source of income, employment, and livelihood for the inhabitants of the region. As the wood is strong and durable, its use in various constructions guarantees the durability of the buildings. The creative ability and aesthetic sense of the craftsman has given a unique dimension to architectural designs. The people of Malakand Division in general, and of the beautiful Swat Valley in particular, have mastered the art of woodcraft. Their association with wood and woodcraft goes back to times immemorial. Rehmat Gul and his son Ibrahim have inherited this delicate craft from their forefathers, who no doubt had their links with Gandhara and even ancient times. Rehmat Gul stands aloft in the whole of Swat Valley for his superb craftsmanship and skill. Behind his perfection lies 60 years of hard work, keen observation, and enthusiasm. years during which he studied and mastered the art and science of woodcraft. His forefathers had been doing the same since long. These exquisite models of excellent craftsmanship are considered as very precious antiques.
Welcome back, everyone. And before the break, we were discussing with Dr. Kavakesar the new show that's going to be starting on PTV World during Ramadan called The Path. And it's about reflection, it's about learning about the Quran and how to lead better lives and being more connected to the spirituality and the whole purpose of Ramadan. But now moving on, leading on from that, it's about uniting people. It's about educating those who don't have the education or the access. It's about trying to decrease the ignorance out there that will lead to more tolerance and patience for people that, of different religions. Now, this segment is about inter and intrafaith harmony. As we've seen, so I'm going to do a comparison because we're going to be talking about different countries in this segment. What we've seen since Trump is that racism, prejudice, all of these things, people have become a lot stronger or a lot more confident in voicing these ignorant opinions. Within Germany, we have seen for the first time the alternative for Germany, AfD, they won 13% of the vote. Austria, the FPO, gained 27% in the votes. And France, the Front National, Marine Le Pen, they won 34%. So that's happening in Europe. And then in America, we have a different situation. But there are a lot of people that are working on the interfaith harmony. They're working on these issues, and they're working to make sure that people actually understand and don't have this irrational and unjust fear. Because, be it the certain, media outlets that are pushing it, or people's, kind of just plain ignorance and lack of education. So we have been joined by Ruby Malik. She is the Regional Director for the Department of Status of Women in Canada. Assalamu alaikum. Good morning.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Besides Ruby, we've been joined by Muhammad Shafiq Savati. He is a social activist who's working for the Center of Empowering Society. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. Thank you very much, Maha, for inviting me for such an important, to speak about a very important topic.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for joining us. So, Ruby, I just gave a little bit of, just a few figures from Europe. I didn't get the figures from America because there's multiple articles out there that people can read. Now, what is happening within North America, in Canada, right? What is happening on Interfaith Harmony?
There is lots happening. I am in Canada, and so mostly focusing on in Canada. As you know, the federal government there is very proactive in promoting the interfaith harmony at different levels. I am in the province of Alberta. We have a significant population of Muslims there from very diverse backgrounds and coming from different multiple nationalities. And we do have other religions coexisting within a very smaller communities. So it's very important. We have established interfaith local centers for action, and that are promoting dialogue first. As you're saying, it's very important to have the understanding and to demystify some of the myths and prejudices and the discrimination that is held in people's concepts. So dialogue is one thing. There are lots of information and activities that are happening at different levels within our communities in Edmonton, Alberta, and other provinces.
Okay.
And also the
Activities like what?
there are info sessions where we are inviting from multiple faiths the scholars and leaders to shed information, to shed light on what exactly each of the religion holds. There are peace messages, there are core values that are very common. Those are based on humanity and human rights. And that's what Islam is all about too. So we are promoting information, awareness, debunking some of the myths that exist. We are clearly separating from what is seen as extremism and the link with Islam. So clearly engaging youth in dialogue and interactive sessions.
Okay, and I will come back to this because that's wonderful that you guys are taking this initiative, especially in Edmonton, right?
Right.
So now I will come back to that. So let's hold that thought there. Let's put a pin in that for a second. So Muhammad Shafiq, you're working within Pakistan. What is being done to, especially before Ramadan as well, what's being done to help interfaith harmony within the country?
Basically, Interfaith Harmony, I take it as a tool. With this tool, we can connect the world all together in a harmony way. And as Ramzan is coming, so a lot of charity work is going to be started. In Ramzan, being a Muslim, everybody is going to participate in different charity works. So as our organization is also involved in so many charity works. So regarding the Interfaith Harmony here in Islamabad, I appreciate all diplomatic community, especially non-Muslim countries. They are holding receptions, iftar receptions here, and getting involvement of different religions and get-togethers and exchange views. And by this, I think they are giving a very viable platform to all communities to discuss and understand all the religions and their practices.
Okay, wonderful. And so now coming back to you, Ruby, you said about the different activities, there's info sessions. Now, people who have an opinion about the religion or about, who have misunderstandings about the religion, misunderstanding, yeah, that's the word. Now, what is the situation with that? Because those are not the people that are going to be coming to these info sessions. They're not the ones that are going to be enrolling in the different courses or the different situations you put up. So how are we working on, targeting the people that need to be targeted?
That's a very good question because, as you're saying, the people who are interested in knowing about show up at these sessions and not necessarily the segment that might be having those misconceptions deeply rooted in how their thought process goes. So there are media awareness things, campaigns that we are wanting to organize. I am involved in lots of social and community activities with lots of different organizations which are not particularly religious based. So those are some, or we are bridging between ethnic organizations as well as some of the mainstream. John Humphrey Center for Peace and Justice, for example, is one of the organizations that leads from the base of human rights and then incorporates religion into it. So that provides us a wider audience that's not more inclined towards just knowing about religion, but also different ethnicities and what we bring as enriching to the local community.
That's amazing. That's very good. Excellent. So now, Muhammad Shafiq, within Pakistan, okay, so we've talked about the different diplomatic community, working on building the relations between the different religions. Now, within Islam, we also have our different, compartments. So put the international community aside, what are the Pakistanis doing regarding this situation? Are we helping interfaith harmony as well?
Yeah, you have rightly pointed out a very good point to discuss. We need to build interfaith harmony at times. It's much needed for us, for Muslim community, because sometimes we make fun of ourselves.
Okay.
So I think we need to incorporate some religious scholars on one platform, but that should be a viable platform to give the community and to engage more and more sects of the of the Islam.
Okay.
So that I think our religious scholars can make a very play vibrant role.
Absolutely, but that's not my question though. I didn't ask what we need to do. I said, what are you doing regarding this? Are you guys working on this or not?
Not particularly, but obviously we are involved in with other organizations and with other communities, and as our organization is working for human rights, and we have incorporated non-Muslim members as well,
Okay.
and we do arrange some sessions on and off to build the community within our society. That is more helpful, and we are in promoting the brotherhood.
Okay, excellent.
And that's what Ramzan is telling about and
Yeah, absolutely.
demanding.
Absolutely. It's about unity, and it's about being there and understanding other people's struggles as well. But Ruby, come on, moving back to you. It's great that you guys, doing a lot of proactive, being very proactive in Canada by the sounds of it. Now, I mean, the fact that, you're the regional director for the Department of Women, within your region. Now, when you just mentioned the fact that the media plays a role in it. Sorry, I want to say the media plays a role in this interfaith harmony. You're working on the grassroots levels with all these different sessions, but when will the government, or when will the different relevant bodies start doing more accurate representation of the religion, or of someone who is a Muslim or someone of a different background? On when will we start seeing it on TV? Because that's where majority of information is sent out. That's where we form our stereotypes of people. Actually, that's the reason why I'm sitting here, because there's always one kind of, like, I think even one of the British actors, I think Riz Khan or someone, he went into Parliament, was like, you portray us in a certain manner, which just reinforces that kind of wrong image of people. So what are you guys doing regarding that?
As you mentioned, I am involved at grassroots level with lots of different community organizations. But what I've seen within different levels of government, different levels of government are trying very hard within Canada and also in Alberta to have forums and funding and resources available for organizations, nonprofit organizations, as well as social organizations come out. And also to have these gender lens incorporated into it, more harmony and anti-racist concepts built into the policies in employment and other realms of life, so that these become parts of policies and programs that the government is dictating. But there is also resources and funding available at provincial level or from federal government or municipal level from City of Edmonton and others, that programming can be done. Not just for information and awareness, but also to reach out and have youth and have other generations, older and our elders involved in it, and also the mainstream population. So it's not just ethnicity based or religion based, so that much more comes out of it as Canadians or Albertans, that we are all parts of the mosaic that Canada is, and how we enrich and we and to move away from stereotypes that sometimes highlighting some of the successful people from different diverse backgrounds that have moved up and are good role models. So highlighting those.
Wonderful. And so now, you were on the show last year as well.
Right.
So since then, how has the situation improved, or how have you seen the results of these different programs? Because you mentioned some of these last year as well.
Right.
So what are the results of these?
I think it's you see it in how things are evolving and developing, new programs that are being taken on within not just government programs, but also incorporated into policies and employment places, in businesses, how friendly the information it's user friendly, so that people and businesses who are wanting to incorporate it, or different sectors who are wanting to incorporate it, unions included, can use it. The other thing that has happened, and a good example of something that's recently happened, is the province of Alberta, the premier giving the proclamation for the United Nations Week of International Interfaith Harmony. So that was never done before in Alberta. So it was recognized by the premier, and in the Legislative Assembly, the week of February 1st to 7th of 2018 is the first time that Interfaith Harmony was highlighted at that.
Wonderful.
And we've also had iftar dinners by the government of Alberta for Muslims for the last couple of years, which had never happened before.
Excellent.
And interfaith dinners. So we are also not just inviting other faiths to come join us for iftar, for example, and then that's an opportunity for us to reflect and sit and highlight a different image, as well as we are joining in other religions' activities as well when they are coming.
Oh,
So
great! No, exactly. It's it has to be
Mutual,
reciprocated. Yeah,
right.
mutual respect. But now that's so great. It sounds fantastic. But one thing that I've noticed is that the Prime Minister was recently he did visit.
Right.
This region,
Right.
and there was a little bit of criticism out there. It was mixed. Some people,
Right.
were really impressed by the efforts that he was going to. Some people thought it was a bit too much.
Right.
As a Canadian as well, but as a Pakistani Canadian, what are your thoughts about this? Do you think someone can ever do too much in order to be involved in someone's religion or culture?
Personally, my opinion is I don't think so. I think it was great for someone at the level that he is at, and to be in the spotlight, to be able to incorporate some other cultures, and to be able to incorporate his own whole family into something in the local culture, religious things also. So it shows a way of paying respect.
Okay.
So it's not taking anything away. It's more celebrating what other ethnicities, religious backgrounds. We are Canadians from all different backgrounds. So that was his way of wherever he's visiting to highlight and to adopt it, so that it's celebrated at a higher level.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you both so much for being here. It's been an absolute pleasure talking about you. Interfaith Harmony with you, and best of luck for your visit while you're here.
Thank you. Nice.
Great, guys. So that was our show for today. In the beginning, we were talking about the path. In the second half, we were talking about the interfaith harmony within Pakistan and abroad. And, it's wonderful to see the amount of work being done at the government and the local and then the individual level. It is a united effort, and we have to all join together. Even if we have different opinions, let's listen to each other, let's hear it out. But that is all we've got time for. If you would like any information about anything we have discussed today, log on to our Facebook fan page, which is with the name of World This Morning, Twitter page, World This Morning without the G, Daily Motion, and YouTube page, World This Morning. And the repeat is at 11:05 p.m. this evening. Have a wonderful start to the week, and I will see you bright and early tomorrow morning.